welcome back to my build of the Strike Freedom Gundam. In the last video, I was able to finish my work on the head, and with this one, we are going to be starting on the arms. So starting with the arms, I actually started using a lot more paint, doing a lot more painting and coloring of the parts. It was the arms and legs where I mostly wanted to do the repaints. So as always, the first thing I'm going to do is actually check my instructions and see what I have to start with. When I have it, I like to take PCs off the sprue first. I have found that they're soft and I can just twist them and they'll pop right off with little to no excess nubbing or flashing. So that soft plastic is really nice to work with. After that, I'll start clipping off the others. Now, here I'm working on the shoulder joints, and there are two identical joints. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm clipping off all the parts for both joints at the same time. I'm keeping them in two different sets, one on the left and one on the right. And then I'm trimming them, putting them together rather than doing one and then going back and doing the other. But again, you do have to make sure that as you clip the parts off, you keep them in distinct sets apart from each other. You don't want to get them confused or mixed up. So as I said before, I am going to be using a lot more paint on the arms than I did on either the torso or the head. So painting, in order to avoid as much as possible waiting on using the hairdryer to dry them, I'm painting one half of the part first to begin with. Oh, also, you might be able to see this. I'm not holding the part that I'm painting because it is all put together, and I have a gold piece in there that I'm not painting. That's actually what I'm holding on to with the pliers. So I'm painting just one half of the part, then I'm letting it dry, and then I can come back and paint the other half after that. after they have had some time to dry. So I'm checking it, see if it's a little bit, see if it's dry. I didn't notice any tackiness, so I'm going ahead and painting the other side of it. Here I'm painting the pin as well. Sometimes that is all okay, sometimes it's not. You just need to be aware of how the parts fit together, whether they're tight or whether they're not. And again, that's not really something you can always be immediately aware of. One thing I would do if I had a setup for it, if I had the facilities for it, I would probably apply a clear coat onto these parts as well. Paint them completely taken apart, and then apply an extra clear coat when I was satisfied with the smoothness and evenness of the paint job. The clear coat would help protect the paint job, help protect the color from scratches or chipping. Unfortunately, here in China, I don't have a space that I can apply a clear coat. I don't have a space that's both good temperature and well ventilated. Now here I'm working on the bracers, I guess you could call them. They are the part that sits on the outside of the lower arm where the shield would be able to project from on the Gundam itself. You notice that I'm not painting this part. This is one of the parts on the arms that I wanted to leave white to help the green stand out, and then of course the green helps the white stand out all that more. The differing colors definitely, for me, they helped that those individual parts really pop and really stand out. So when I shave the nubs off, I actually I brace with my thumb. I'm right-handed, so I brace with the thumb generally of my right hand on the part to help prevent the part from flexing and bending and there potentially breaking. But that also gives me something that I can pull toward, and being the thumb of the same hand that I'm pulling with helps increase my level of control over the knife and decreases the possibility of gouging the part. So after I had fit everything together, I decided I wanted to put some blue accents inside the bracer itself. I had discovered that it was going to be a little bit of a loose fit. It wasn't going to be full coverage. And especially if I have the shield extended from the bracer, you would be able to see little details on the inside. So I wanted to be able to set some of those off a little bit with just that little bit of color. I chose blue for this particular piece because the shield is blue and I wanted it to have a matching aesthetic. I wanted it to be able to stand out and have some connection as if it were part of the projection field. After I make sure it's dry, I'm fitting all the pieces together again and putting them back in. Again, I'm doing two arms together, so I am making sure to keep all of my parts lined up and in sets so that I have two distinct arms being built at the same time. I do not actually keep a really tight grip on my knife when I'm cutting. Of course, it's not a loose grip, but it's a relatively relaxed grip, excepting the forefinger and ring finger, which are a little bit tighter, adding for a little bit of extra dexterity and control when I'm shaping. With this particular part, I actually missed something when I first cut them out. So I cut out the top parts on the shield projectors, but missed that there was a bottom part at first, and so when I put it in, and it just didn't look quite right. That's when I looked back and realized that I had missed a part, and so I went back and clipped it out as well.
So one of the things I noticed after I had test fit the front and back together was that there is a slight gap on the shield projector unit. So I actually went back. I decided to go ahead and fill that gap in a little bit with some paint, just to give it that little bit of extra color, a little bit of extra something in the fine details. So again, with each piece, I am painting about half of it, a little more than half, setting it down, moving on to the next piece, and then theoretically, by the time I am finished getting that bit on the last piece, the first piece is good to start on the other half of it. So here I am going through with the second half of each piece. Well, that's it for this particular video. I hope you join me for the next one.